We are here with Professor Michael Rosemann again, and this time we would like to talk about business process redesign. So, you know, the majority of approaches to business process redesign are very analytical and inward-looking. You know, they rely on a set of well-defined principles or heuristics, and they start and look at the scope of the existing process in order to assess and come up with different opportunities for changing the process. However, organizations that have matured in their application of BPM, those that have been engaged with BPM for a long time, have already reaped the benefits of such techniques. So, is there something else in terms of business process redesign for this type of organizations?
I very much believe that we now see the second stage, the second scale of how we design and redesign business processes. In the first phase, no doubt, we looked at existing business processes and reacted to the identified problems. So the very first stage of BPM was very much around reactive, problem-driven approaches. Lean management would find the value that is not added to our customers and would try to take that waste out. Six Sigma would look for the variation in your processes and try to reduce that variation. And automation workflow would look for the pockets of manual labor and try to automate them. So these are three significant examples where we look at current processes, we streamline the existing process, but we are typically problem-driven and reactive. What we see now is that organizations explore an approach that is much more future-driven, much more opportunity-driven. We don't necessarily react to the current broken process. We envisage, based on design principles, a desired process for the future. Instead of asking us, how do I overcome a current problem, we ask ourselves, how do we get to this desired process? Instead of being problem-driven, we are opportunity-driven. Instead of reactive, we are proactive. And instead of motivating by an internal problem, we might be motivated by an external opportunity. This could be the availability of robots, of big data, of sensors, of social or mobile technologies. Instead of looking at a process and ask yourself, how do I redesign it? These organizations follow an outside-in approach and try to explore how new technological artifacts or business models can be adopted within their landscape of business processes.
So you're talking more about a transformative approach to redesign that leads to innovation, right? So innovation is a buzzword at the moment, and specifically in the sphere of BPM, we talk about process innovation. And this could be the way to go for those organizations that indeed have already exploited the benefits of traditional BPM approaches, traditional redesign approaches. But it sounds to me like process innovation, these transformative approaches, require a lot of creative thinking, requires people to think out of the box. So is it process innovation a rather unstructured approach that is only reserved to a handful of very creative craftsmen that can master the art of innovation? Or is there also a place for the everyday process analyst or even the everyday process participant to contribute to transformative process change?
It's a very good question. Process innovation is not a new concept. 20 years ago, highly influential books on process innovation were written. But what motivated us to truly innovate, to truly re-engineer process, they lacked the detailed rigor and methods. What happened in the last 20 years? BPM was targeting the reactive, problem-driven redesign, and we ended with the ability to streamline processes. We could call this process improvement, and we typically end up with what the customer, what the internal stakeholder expects. Let me give you an example. A large corporate entity was able to standardize, to centralize the internal maintenance of a customer record. There was a massive process redesign effort, but at the very end, you got a process that just led to what the customer expected and did not delight the customer. A massive step for the organization, small step for their clients. This is problem-driven, process-driven redesign. Process innovation requires to go beyond this, to not just exploit the current boundaries of a process, but to expand it. And we truly believe that methods that are not just relying on personal creativity are able to guide the process analyst of the future. Let me give you two examples. One is what we call design-led process innovation. Design-led process innovation is the fusion of business process improvement and design thinking. We take the credentials, the abilities of design thinkers to show empathy with customers, to create first prototypes, to have a more iterative, less sequential approach to process design, and we try to shape desired process prototypes for the future. The second example is what we call positive deviance. Positive deviance is a very different way of thinking about process redesign than what we've seen over the last 20 years. The default business process analyst in the last 20 years would gravitate towards what's broken. Positive deviance gravitates towards what works well. We reuse our skills around root cause analysis, but this time not to explore the root causes of failure, but the root causes of success. If we could rechannel business process analysts towards understanding success, to dig deep, to have methods that guide us on unpacking why certain processes outperform others, we're able to unlock existing proven practices. You can see this is not about creativity, this is about finding the to-be within your as-is. This is not about designing a new to-be, this is searching through big process data to derive at those processes that work and then provide guidance on the secrets of success could be rolled out across as many processes as possible. In some of the projects we've conducted over the last years, this in some cases unlocked up to $20 million of net revenue. In this case, nobody was creative, nobody generated an idea, it just came down to highly analytical, very purposeful analysis of the secrets of success based on massive, big process data.
And how can process participants participate in this?
We need individuals still because a lot of these secrets of success are not visible in an event file. A process can outperform others because of the way you work, and then it materializes in the control flow. But in many cases, the control flow won't give you the answer. It could be the education of the individual involved. It could be the personal motivation. It could be the financial incentives. It could be certain engagement patterns I have with the consumer. So we have to expand the mindset, the tool set of process professionals. So we keep on searching beyond control flows, beyond event files for the root causes of success. And all of this requires that process participants, employees, all internal and external stakeholders who somehow contribute to a process help us to find those root causes. So you can see how the future process innovator will require the ability to digest quantitative and qualitative data in search of process excellence.
Thank you very much, Michael. This concludes the second part of our interview to Professor Michael Rosemann.